complementing a complexion that boasted the all-season tan of someone who spent a great deal of time outdoors. A strong, straight nose punctuated his profile, and a beard-darkened jaw closed the deal. The man oozed bear daddy. Even the silver-rimmed aviators, hiding his glacier-blue eyes, failed to add a veneer of urbanity. His lumberjack build filled the cockpit just as fully as his air of raw masculinity. Unfortunately, he was her firm's client, and Captivity Air's CEO, Trace Shanahan, which put him off limits, according to professional ethics. Also, when he'd met up with her in Anchorage to fly her to their final destination of remote captivity, he'd looked her up and down with that riveting gaze that had struck her as a little sad. Then his eyes had narrowed, filled with consternation and, unless she'd read it wrong, disapproval. What he might disapprove of, she couldn't fathom. They'd only exchanged enough words to confirm each other's identities and get her and her large, monogrammed trunk loaded into the winged coffin he currently labored to keep airborne. Maybe Trace distrusted a female attorney to handle his side of the proposed sale of his interest in Captivity Air and Freight to the larger, California-based carrier Skyline Air. Whatever the reason for his forbidding demeanor, it factored into her determination not to scream or otherwise embarrass herself as she confronted her doom. It was a crying shame. A shame he was a client, possibly a chauvinist, and she was about to die a reclaimed virgin because inhaling his down-market soap or pheromones or both while watching him manhandle a little plane made her imagine brawny, uncivilized Shanahan manhandling her. He wouldn't even have to speak. He could just grunt heavily while fucking her brains out. All of the men in her world were highly civilized. They fell into two categories: attorney at law, gay, or like Danny, they accompanied that overlapping segment of the Venn diagram encompassing both. Such was her life as a single girl in West Hollywood. The plane leveled out with a nauseating shimmy. Thanks to Trace's rush to depart ahead of the storm, now threatening to spit them out of the sky, she just might hurl a gluten-free, dairy-free, vegetarian Alaskan Airlines business-class lunch all over the limited edition suit she'd planned to exchange for casual traveling clothes after her breakfast meeting. Sadly, the meeting ran long. Then she'd hoped to change upon arriving in Anchorage, but her flight had hit delays. Shanahan had stressed the need to get back in the air ahead of the blizzard, so she'd let it go. Assuming she survived this death spiral into the great north, she hoped her white-gloved dry cleaner could erase an afternoon's worth of abject panic from the suit. Another air pocket sucked the plane downward in two bone-jarring drops. This is it, Izzy. Your abrupt and tragic end. She peered out the side window. A couple jagged, snow-capped peaks jutted through roiling gray clouds. You don't want to be here for it. She didn't. Eyes squeezed shut, she dug through the slouchy Gucci bag that had gobbled up a ridiculous chunk of her first-year bonus, now shoved unceremoniously under her seat. Finally, she snagged the supplement bottle. She didn't need to read the label to recall the dosage instructions. 1 tablet, as needed, to restore natural calm and balance to the body. True, she'd consumed a glass of Cabernet on her prior flight, and the makers of the product probably didn't recommend enhancing the effects with alcohol, but all bets were off in the face of impending death. Especially painful, terrifying impending death. She wrenched the cap open, brought the bottle to her lips, and let the jostling of the plane tumble a tablet into her mouth. The next sudden drop had her gulping it down with barely a gasp. She screwed the cap on and tossed the bottle into her purse that had once been a trophy of her hard work and accomplishments, soon to be a burned, battered artifact of a bush plane crash on the crest of some god-forsaken mountain. The aircraft went into another dive, perhaps deliberate this time, since the maneuver felt slower and more measured. Over the rattle and hum of the